I don't cover Punisher comics all that often because the likelihood of my video getting taken down by YouTube is like a 100% certainty, because Punisher comics are just absolutely wild. I have seen things drawn that I can just never unsee, and one of those things being Kingpin doing the woohoo, which I never thought I'd ever see drawn in my entire life. There's also the insane amount of gore and the utterly brutal ways that Punisher kills his criminals, like fucking feeding a guy to a pit of piranhas at one point. One of my favorites is when bro legit punches a polar bear, runs away, and leads the polar bear towards his targets, to later sit and eat popcorn as they get ripped apart in front of him. And it's honestly so crazy to me how some of these comics can be so funny, given that the Punisher is this excruciatingly dark character that's so full of tragedy because he watched his family die in front of him, only to find that when you actually read a Punisher comic, it's literally just Frank Castle using Spider-Man as a human shield to eat punches from a villain named the Russian on top of the Empire State Building. Literally some unemployed friend activities. But that comic in particular is so funny to me personally because sometimes in mid-fight, Spider-Man will just wake up just to be KO'd all over again. Which makes sense given that writer Garth Ennis isn't particularly fond of superheroes all that much. So if you ever get the chance, go read some Punisher comics like Garth Ennis' run on the Punisher. It's so good. So good in fact that I actually want to take the time to talk about one of my favorite Punisher comics ever made, which features the blind man everyone tells me I look like. Now, in the comic Marvel Knights The Punisher #3, it pretty much challenges the whole idea of a superhero, specifically the no-killing part of the superheroing. Because most heroes live under the mentality that say, if you kill a killer, the number of killers stays the same. But Frank Castle is the kind of dude to say, well, what if you kill 2 killers, or 3? Then it doesn't stay the same. And I love this comic most of all because of its debate between Daredevil and the Punisher, which was also so well adapted in the Daredevil show. And in all honesty, looking at it from both angles, I side a lot with the Punisher. Just imagine living in the world of Marvel as a regular person, living under the constant threat of dudes with octopus arms or exploding pumpkins raining hellfire on where you live, killing dozens. Maybe even you too. An utterly horrifying reality. All to just get a smack on the wrist and sent back to a prison with walls made out of paper mache to just break out and do it all over again. It's the definition of insanity. I mean, can you really honestly say you'd be happy if, let's say, Carnage killed your entire family, burned down your house, drilled a hole in your dog's head, and pushed your grandmother down a flight of stairs just to get put back in an insane asylum and face no actual consequences? I wouldn't be good with that at all. And it's here in this comic where Punisher challenges Daredevil's no-kill code by putting him in an impossible situation, by making the devil of Hell's Kitchen choose who lives and who dies. Now, to set the stage, Punisher is on a mission to kill Ma Nucci, a really, really evil person, and her crime family. He's been all over New York, killing anyone that is even slightly connected to her, but the one person he can't get to is Dino Nucci. Since not only is he being represented by Matt Murdock in trial, but the Punisher also knows that where Matt Murdock is, his guardian devil isn't too far off. So on the first night of the trial, the Punisher watches from 600 meters away using a sniper, waiting for the time when Dino exits the court to enter the car bringing him to jail so he can shoot and kill him. However, in the midst of waiting, a billy club hits the ground near the Punisher, returning to an angry Daredevil, demanding Punisher to lose the gun and he won't have to beat him to a pulp. Punisher then turns around silent as Daredevil asks if he ever stops. As Daredevil begins to say that when Dino falls, it'll be because of the law, not because he was shot in the street like a dog, and that the Punisher still has a choice to do the right thing. But Punisher can barely hear him over the rain, so he just interrupts Daredevil by saying he knows the hero's speeches by heart, telling Daredevil to just hit him already. As the two then engage in combat. During their fight, Punisher says to himself while getting kicked around that he'll give Daredevil the first round because he's not the enemy and he doesn't deserve to be destroyed. Along with the fact that he also doesn't really stand a chance against Daredevil when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. After the fight, Punisher thinks that it's time to give Daredevil a wake-up call, so he sets off an ultrasonic device that could hurt Daredevil's radar sense. Once Daredevil would be affected, it would put Daredevil through an unimaginable pain, allowing Punisher to get the upper hand, knocking him out cold. Later, as Daredevil begins to awake, he finds himself chained to a post with a revolver taped to his hand. And to Daredevil's left, Punisher says that there's one bullet, one shot, One chance to stop him from killing Dino Nucci. And now it's time for that choice he told him about earlier. Punisher says that he can't break loose in time, he can't throw the gun at him, and he can't shoot him anywhere that'll hurt him because he's wearing Kevlar, so it has to be a headshot. If Daredevil doesn't shoot Punisher, then he'll have a death on his conscience. But if he does shoot the Punisher, then he's a murderer. Leading Daredevil to ask Punisher what kind of choice even is that? To which the Punisher says the choice he makes every time he pulls the trigger and the one he'll make right now. Daredevil says that the Punisher is out of his mind and he can't kill him, but Punisher just says that that means Dino Nucci's a dead man then. So Daredevil begins to plead for the Punisher to not kill Dino and let him be brought down legitimately by the book. Because if not, then these laws that have built their society are shown to be worthless and will have serious ramifications. But the Punisher just says back that the thought of Dino Nucci living one more minute is enough to drive him insane. So Daredevil, realizing what he has to do, cocks the gun and aims it at the Punisher, pleading for him to stop this because he can't let Punisher kill that man. Yelling, kicking, and screaming for the Punisher to stop before he does something he'll regret forever. But the Punisher just ignores Daredevil, lining his sights on Dino. So Daredevil asks God to forgive him for what he's about to do and fires the gun right as the Punisher fires his sniper, killing Dino Nucci. Afterwards, the Punisher walks back over to a broken Daredevil, saying that there was no firing pin in the gun, so he never really had a choice to begin with, adding that Daredevil can leave the killing to him and that when he wakes up, the chains will be gone. So Daredevil just nods his head and the Punisher knocks Daredevil out cold, proving that sometimes to get the job done, you gotta get your hands dirty. Ending the story. Now, this is a personal favorite of mine for how it challenges the no-kill rule, showing that on one side, these truly evil people do deserve to never see the light of day ever again, but on the other side, do we really have that right to take their lives from them in the process? What message does that truly show? Now, later in the run, because of this comic, a group of killers known as the Vigilante Squad look up to the Punisher and try to be just like him, going around New York, killing people that they themselves deem bad people, whether it be people running hot dog stands in rich neighborhoods, a kid robbing a 7-Eleven, or a corrupt businessman. They channel the Punisher's way of killing villains and criminals to fit their own vendetta, using it as an excuse to kill anyone that's done something remotely bad, no matter how petty the crime. So much so that the distinction between good and evil begins to blur for them, showing that what Daredevil says has merit, that disregarding these laws and killing anyone that does something remotely bad can systematically destroy a society. So on the one hand, not killing has its consequences, but on the other, killing still comes with the consequences at the same time. So in retrospect, it's honestly a double-edged sword kind of subject. And that's why this is my favorite Punisher comic, because it really challenges you, the reader, to distinguish for yourself who is right. But with that, this video is going to come to an end, and I hope y'all like this video, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and as always, I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Just remember that one time Bullseye became so obsessed with Frank Castle that he kidnapped 13 random families and even reenacted the way his family died, just so he could understand for himself why Frank Castle does what he does. Yeah, this guy deserves to rot in hell. Like, what the fuck?